These rocky shores where I call home, where my heart longs to be whenever I roam. It's these rocky shores, it's where I long to be. Yes, it's these rocky shores, they're home to me.
Whenever I leave here, it hurts me so, with tears in my eyes. Oh, I hate to go. There ain't no work, and the kids need new clothes. The bills need paying, so off I must go.
These rocky shores where I call home, where my heart longs to be whenever I roam. Yes, these rocky shores, it's where I long to be. Yes, these rocky shores, they're home to me.
I think to myself, where did it all go? The life I once had on the ocean's gentle road. My tears in my eyes and my head in my hands, away from my family, I hope they understand.
That is these rocky shores where I call home, it's where my heart longs to be whenever I roam. It's these rocky shores where I long to be. Yes, these rocky shores, they are home to me. Yes, these rocky shores, they are home to me.
Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Review. Tonight's stories include: this past week was Fire Prevention Week. We visited the government store to see what innovative fisheries are doing. Update on the Main Hill project. Constable McDougall will be here with the court report. These stories, plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack, and more coming up after this.
Each year in Canada, hundreds of fires are started by children playing with lighters and matches. Children as young as 18 months can operate a lighter and start fires. The consequences couldn't be more deadly. Keep lighters and matches out of sight and out of reach of children. A message from Health Canada and this broadcaster.
A few weeks back, we aired an address to residents of Burgeo by Seafreeze owner Bill Barry. For any of you who missed it, here's Mr. Barry's message to the people of Burgeo.
This is Bill Barry, and I'm speaking to you from Corner Brook. I just finished a meeting with people from your community, from representing the union and representing the town, and they asked me to make a statement to inform, I guess, the people in Burgeo of what our intentions were over the near and medium term as far as the plant operations are concerned. And I guess the first thing that I would like to do is tell everybody that I'm extremely pleased with the effort that has gone into the refurbishing of the plant in Burgeo. Since last April 30th, when we had the last meeting, here in Corner Brook when we discussed things that were possible for the plant. We or our company, we've invested probably over $300,000. I think it's $326,000 back into getting the fish meal operation and other parts of the plant refurbished in Burgeo. And we started taking, utilizing that area of the plant now since the end of August, and we certainly intend to make that as continuous an operation throughout the year as possible. One other thing in our current plans is a further expenditure or investment on the meal side in Burgeo, somewhere in the vicinity of $400,000 or $500,000. We're going to invest in there to use it as a rendering operation for seal blubber so that we can create a high-grade food-grade oil and industrial-grade oil as well from our seal operations. And so that will create, more investment and more work and involve a few more people. Once when my brother was down in Burgeo one time this summer, somebody asked him, they said, I guess the only thing that you're going to do in Burgeo, or a lot of people saying Burgeo, the only thing that you're going to do is fish meal. And my brother's comment to I'm not sure who it was, but my brother's comment to whoever asked him the question, my brother said, well, whoever said that, they'd be wrong. It's our intent. We certainly feel extremely positive about our re-entry into the community in Burgeo. We feel we're certainly very positive and pleased with the cooperation from the union executive that we've had so far. In terms of the contribution that the people have made, the people of Burgeo have made to help reactivate the plant, it's a very significant and worthwhile contribution, and certainly sends an enormously strong signal to me about your dedication and commitment as far as your own community is concerned. And it certainly helps me have the courage to make the investments and fight the battle that needs to be fought to make Burgeo one of the plants that survive in the future in Newfoundland. So I guess, and particularly I want to mention, the guys that are involved in the operation on a day-to-day in the Burgeo meal operation right now. We certainly couldn't be more happier about the time and effort and energy and commitment that all these people have shown. And it certainly makes our efforts seem not only worthwhile, but even all the more urgent that we do things to make the operation a long-term viable business. So I guess the next step is to tell you what our focus is from here. I've been trying to focus with Burgeo on, what is available as a core resource that in the near term we could access to get more people back to work. And there is a resource that's very close to Burgeo. It's more adjacent to Burgeo than anyone else, and certainly all of your trawlermen will know about this resource. It's the species Argentine, Burgeo Bank and St. Pierre Bank, that whole area. There's been Argentine in that resource now for the last, 20 or 25 years. Many of the vessels that fish perch in this area in the summertime and also through the fall find huge quantities of Argentine, and in many cases vessels that fish that area are asked by DFO to leave the area because the concentrations of Argentine are so high. Argentine is a kind of silverish like fish. Most people sometimes call them smelt like fish, but they're fairly good size. They're between 13 to 15 inches long, and they have a white fish material. This resource, this material, is good for a surimi-based product. Surimi is basically, we have a surimi line that we put in Canso 3 years ago to utilize the silver hake resource on the Scotian Shelf. And what you do, you basically fillet and skin the fish, and you put it into a surimi line, and you wash out all of the improperties or the impurities in the fish, so you end up with a tasteless, odorless material that you can add flavor to, and you can create things like imitation crab, imitation scallop, imitation lobster. So we're looking at, we know that the Argentine resource can work. Our question now, or our dealings with government, because there's been no research, no science, no fishery on this, other than Canada for many, many years allocated about 25 or 30,000 tons of this resource every year to foreign fleets, be it Russians or Japanese. But in general terms, no Canadian companies have ever indicated an interest in this. But now we want this resource. This resource is very strong in 3PN and 3PS, and we want to get this resource allocated to us from government for the Burgeo plant, to make the Argentine resource the key resource of rebuilding Burgeo. We've talked to government initially about a quota of 5,000 tons. I think this is the minimum number that we need to make the investments that we need to make in Burgeo in terms of surimi equipment and fillet processing equipment to process the Argentine resource. We're looking at conservatively, it needs investments maybe of $1.2 to $1.3 million to establish a surimi operation in Burgeo. So we need to, government has just given us an interim quota of 100 tons to experiment with, so we can get some handle on the types of gel strengths and textures that the Argentine has. We intend to embark during the next 2 weeks to catch this 100 tons and do some experiments in our Canzo plant. It's our intention very quickly after that to sit down with government and look for their support to establish a firm quota for 1998 for Burgeo, so that we can aggressively pursue the installation of a surimi line and fillet processing equipment for Argentine in Burgeo. This is the initiative, I guess, probably that maybe some of you are waiting to hear, and it's the initiative that we believe will be one of the key or core ingredients to make Burgeo a long-term viable plant. You may ask, well, how many jobs, how many weeks, whatever. If we get a 5,000 ton quota, we can probably see conservatively 75 to 80 jobs, maybe a few more for a 6 or 7 month period. And these would be minimum numbers. We think the numbers, our objective is to get the Burgeo plant in the next year or two operational on the basis of the majority of the year for up to 150 people. We're hoping to be able to achieve that, but we think that Argentine is the base that Burgeo can use, and the argument that Burgeo can use for access to the Argentine resources, because frankly Burgeo, there is precedent setting where plants like St. Anthony were given shrimp and whatever. This resource is right on Burgeo's doorstep, and certainly no community would have a greater right or a more moral right to the access of this resource. So we're going to be making those arguments towards government, and we expect to be successful, because there is no basis under which that this fish should be denied to your community. And we're going to take the initiative with everybody that it needs to be taken, so that we can install the appropriate equipment and the appropriate processing technology to make the surimi operation in Burgeo a realizable entity and a viable business. But that's our core initiative that we're embarking on now, and we intend to follow up with that with other things, such as the reopening of the cod fisheries, so we can put cod back in Burgeo. Obviously, we need a core. We need something that the future of the plant can be built around. Something that'll give us enough volume to make the numbers work in the primary and secondary processing operations. And we see Argentine as a totally underutilized species that no other Canadian company has sought. So we don't really think there should be any conflict within DFO or within the bureaucracy that this resource be allocated to Burgeo. So that's well, I was going to say kind of. It's not kind. That's where we're going. We're continually on a day-to-day basis now. We look at every day how we can progress this further ahead at as fast a rate as possible. You're going to be hearing a lot more about this over the next 2-3 months. Our objective is to progress far enough ahead with this very quickly this fall that we can be in 1998, we can have a full-fledged processing operation for Argentine in the Burgeo plant, and that core operation will then lead on to hopefully many other activities that we will add on to it then as the resources return, and I guess and other initiatives that we would take to give more full-time employment and make the operation viable. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. The only other comment that I'd like to make is just to reiterate the comments that I made at the first of this. I'm extremely pleased about the cooperation from everybody in Burgeo, and you know, your efforts certainly give myself and my family the encouragement and desire to want to make your plant work and return the community and your lives to some element of stability and prosperity, and that's totally what we intend to do. Thanks very much.
This past week was Fire Prevention Week. Members of the Burgeo Volunteer Fire Department were busy stressing the importance of fire safety.
There we go. Now, Mr. Man is going to give you a little tour of the fire hall. Okay. Get ready.
Fire Chief Glenn Hand gave visitors to the fire hall a tour of the bay area, including the fire van and both fire trucks.
If we get a fire in town, we come down to the fire hall, take our fire truck, and we go to the fire and put the fire out. Okay? Here's all of our gauges that the driver of the fire truck going to use to make sure that you don't get the fireman on the end of the hose too much pressure and he loses balance and fall down. Okay? Is this your first visit to the fire hall? Have any of you been here before?
I've been upstairs before, just upstairs.
Oh, okay. Is it the first time for you to be down here?
I'm down here, not here.
Good. Because your dad's in the fire department, right? Right on. Okay. So back on those big holes here that we got, we hook those up, say, somewhere where there's near a fire hydrant. We hook those up, say, to pump water, say, out of a big pond or out of the salt water to help fight the fire if we went somewhere where there's neither fire hydrant that we could run our fire hoses on. What Mr. Sims got here is what we call our breathing apparatus, okay? If there's a fire in your house somewhere, as you are aware, you can't breathe smoke because it'll choke you, right, and you'll die. So if we had to go into somebody's house, the fireman would have to wear what we call our breathing apparatus, wear that. In that cylinder, in that big bottle that Mr. Sims got there, is what, yeah, exactly, what we call air, that's oxygen, okay? Same as that you're breathing now. You got 2,100 pounds of pressure in there. And when he gets down to 500 pounds of pressure, every time he breathes then, a bell will go off. This bell here will go off to let him know he got approximately 5 minutes of air left in the cylinder. So wherever he's to, he'll leave and come back out of the belly.
Once the downstairs tour was over, visitors then moved upstairs where Fireman Dave Billard, Fire Inspection and Public Relations Officer with the Burgeo Volunteer Firefighters, spoke to people about fire safety.
Now, the next thing we want to try to get you to learn is a thing called stop, drop, and roll. Your clothes cut out apart, for instance. Let's say you were, if you were on a bomb board in a campsite or something, right? Let's say a piece of your clothes cut apart. What would you do?
I saw it.
No, you tell me first so that I would know. See? You stand up over here and you tell me. You stand up and let's make a little...
He knows what to do.
Let's pretend you're putting your jacket kind of far, okay? And you tell me step by step what you would do. Tell your classmates.
Put your hand all down.
Yeah?
Put your hand in the room.
Roll like that. And no tongue at all. You said far, put it. That would be a good thing, wouldn't it? And you would, yeah, you've got to have that. Everybody else would look at you and let a little try just see if you know what it is. You would, wouldn't you?
Marla knows how to stop dropping.
Before you do it, you can tell us, say step by step so we remember. When we're told something, we tend to remember more. So you tell us what you would do. Yeah, and that would smother it all apart. So anyone else like to try it? Okay. Now you tell us.
The firefighters discussed a different aspect of fire safety with each of the grades kindergarten through 6. The kindergarten students discussed the stop, drop, and roll method, and they were shown the fire clothes and permitted to try them on. Grade 1 students were taught about the importance of stop, drop, and roll. The use of smoke detectors and different types of fire extinguishers was the topic discussed with the Grade 2 students. Firefighters demonstrated the use of fire extinguishers to the Grade 3 students. Home escape plans were designed with the Grade 4 students. Firefighters spoke with the Grade 5 students on the importance of fire safety, and an actual fat fire was demonstrated to the Grade 6 students.
Now, another thing we want to go over is, anybody know what these are? That's right. You know what the sound of smoke detector makes? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how it works. Watch very closely now.
I'll show you what happened.
And it doesn't have to be very much smoke to set one out. Watch this one there, and someone tell me, what's the difference between two smoke detectors? Not a big light, they're both brown, they're both pretty well white. Let's watch. What's happening? Smoke's going up there. I don't hear a sound. No, I wonder why. Because
the
what?
smoke makes it dry.
No, because this one's got a battery to it. And this one doesn't, right? So it's no good to have it unless you got a battery. So when you go home, you're going to test it and make sure your battery is good, and you're going to make sure there's a battery in it. That's very, very important. It's no good to have one stuck out like you're there, because you get all the smoke that you like. And you won't get this noise out of it. It will just stay out there, just like a part. And you won't even know it's a part of your ceiling. Okay?
The fire department also conducted fire drills at both schools throughout the week. Fireman Dave Billard informed us that the kids were very orderly and got out in real good time. There were no problems at all. One student from each grade, kindergarten through 6, won a smoke detector. As well, one student from each grade will get to go for a ride on the fire truck sometime next week. The Burgeo Lions and Lionesses held a seniors party on Wednesday as part of their World Lions Day celebrations. On Wednesday evening, the Burgeo Lions and Lionesses served supper to 103 people before having supper themselves.
Good evening, fellow Lions, Lioness, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen of the evening, our seniors. On behalf of the Lions and Lioness Health and Welfare Committee, we would like to welcome you here. As I look around, I see there's some retired fishermen here, so I got 3 tubs of gear left in there, and anybody wants to go down there and bait it. As Lions and Lioness, it gives us great pleasure to see so many of you here, and we hope you all enjoy yourself as the evening progresses. We, the Lions and Lioness, take pride in twice a year in serving you, our seniors. It is you people that have made this town what it is today through your hard work and dedication. So once again, as the evening progresses, I hope you enjoy yourself at the card game and the dance to follow, and I believe we got some entertainment with square dancers stuck in the middle there somewhere. So I hope you all have a very enjoyable evening.
Speakers for the evening included King Lion Stan Kosser,
Mayor Ann, Lioness President Doris, fellow Lions, Lioness, invited guests, and most importantly of all, our seniors. It gives me great pleasure this evening to welcome everyone here on behalf of the Lions Club. And as like Lion Ron said, I think we look forward to twice a year having those parties. And it's one of the things that we do that you people show that you really appreciate, and we enjoy doing. I think a lot of us look forward to those parties more than we do our own. I'd especially like to welcome this evening Mayor Hand and our 2 ministers and the representatives from the hospital, because I know they play a very important role in the life of seniors, as you have played a very important role in our lives. So I hope you all enjoy yourselves. After the meal, like Ron said, we do have a card game, the square dancers coming in, and we do have a dance afterwards. So once again, welcome everyone, and we hope you enjoy yourselves this evening. Thank you.
Lioness President Doris Pink also addressed the gathering.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know you have been welcomed here, but on behalf of the Lioness Club, and certainly on my own behalf, I'd like to extend a special welcome to all of you, and especially to our seniors who are visiting from out of town. I was walking home from school this afternoon and I was thinking, I've got to address the seniors tonight. Now what do I say to seniors? And I know, like, every time my generation gets together, you see, I stop when somebody's talking. That's because I'm a teacher. I'm used to having quiet. But anyway, I was walking home from school and I was thinking, okay, what do I say to seniors? And every time my generation gets together, we start complaining about times are tough and money is tight. And true, times are tough and money is tight. But then I think, you seniors, what are our tough times compared with what you've lived through? Most of you have experienced the Depression and World War II, and so you must think that we're kind of complaining, whining a little bit when we talk about tough times and how hard we've got it and so on. Like we get all bent out of shape if the mail doesn't come every day, and for most of you, if you had weekly mail deliveries, it was a luxury. Turn the power off, an hour and we're upset, 2 days and we're crippled, there's nothing we can do. But, well, most of you brought up your families and ran your homes, did everything you had to do with the only power that you generated yourselves. So, I guess what I want to say to the seniors, and I want to speak from my generation, I want to thank all of you for making our lives easier, safer, and much, much more comfortable.
Mayor Han also addressed the gathering.
What a difference a week makes. Last week I was 56, this week I'm 60. I think first I would like to thank Doris for saying all the words that I tried to put together, since they told me I was invited, but I just couldn't do it. But Doris, you did a real fine job of saying what I really would have liked to have said. But Lions, Lioness, invited guests, and last but certainly not least, our senior citizens. Last Wednesday night, I was honored when my fellow councillors elected me to the mayor of this very historic old town. Tonight, I am equally honored to have as my first official public duty as mayor to address such a honored group of people as the seniors of our town. Ever since last Wednesday night, my wife has been jabbing me with a fork. So I asked her, I said, why are you jabbing me with a fork? And she said, just to see how thick your skin is. I said, well, my dear, you better use a sharp steak knife. Dr. Calder asked me not to waste the evening by boring you to death. So I guaranteed him that I wouldn't use any more than 2 hours. I personally don't believe that when senior citizens or people retire that they should go out to pasture. I believe they still have quite a lot to give. You have a wealth of experience which this town and every town can benefit from. And the way I look at it, just because a person is not on council, it doesn't mean that he can't be asked to perform some duty. So don't be too surprised. I mean, you've got a wealth of expertise with you. I look down, I see Dr. Calder there and Mrs. Calder. I don't see Mrs. Calder, but she's probably here somewhere. Oh, she's got the flu probably. Same as my wife. But you know, if you were setting up a committee to look after health care, well, what more expertise could you have than these two bodies? I look down and I see that the oldest councillor, the one who formed the town council in Virgil, Mr. Chris Matthews, is present tonight. So maybe even go up and have a yarn with Chris, a person could find out something. And I look down at Max Collier, an ex-mayor, and he tells me that his first speech with the senior citizens took more than 2 hours. Well, I'm not going to take that long, Max. I'm not going to go into my full platform for a full 4 years, but I will guarantee the seniors one thing, that before this 4 years is out, that your sidewalks will be repaired. Those sidewalks must be absolutely frightening, because I personally am afraid to walk on them myself.
Okay, we're calling the King Lion and Lioness President now to cut the cake with the seniors and present them with a gift.
Mr. Spencer, on behalf of the Lions and Lioness, I'd like to present you this little gift that sounds interesting. Thank you very much.
Mr. Donald, on behalf of Lawrence, I'd like to present
Reverend Davies from Faith United Church was guest speaker for the evening.
First of all, I'd like to recognize the seniors here tonight, the other invited guests, table guests. You know, you may not believe this, but I found out about 4 or 5 minutes ago that I was a special guest speaker. So surprise, surprise, surprise. Having only arrived in this fair town a little while ago, and not having met a whole lot of people yet, I have been fortunate to make the acquaintance of a goodly number of seniors in our town. Some of them are here tonight, some who consider themselves a little bit too young, not senior enough probably to come. I know of some people who are not here tonight. But on behalf of my wife, myself, I'd like to say what a great honor and privilege this is for having been asked by the Lions Club to attend this special celebration of the World Lions Day. And you're doing so by honoring all our senior citizens, and I think it's a very noble endeavor. I should also mention that the Lioness Club has taken a very active part in that as well.
Once the supper was over and the tables were cleared, a card game followed. Mary Pink was the first place winner, Pearl Warren came second, and Harvey Ingram took home the booby prize. The Burgeo Square dancers were also on hand to provide some entertainment. The square dancers then had a second dance into which they included the seniors. Once the square dancing was finished, Cleats Disco kicked in and the party went on till the wee hours of the morning.
It's so good to bring together music and friends. Side by side, no one can break that.
By now, I'm sure all viewers have noticed that our cable system has lost 5 channels. After receiving a complaint from Burgeo, the Canadian Radio Telecommunications Commission, or CRTC, informed BBS by fax with a list of eligible signals that could be broadcast on a cable system. Therefore, channels 6, 16, 18, 20, and 30 had to be removed because these signals were not part of the list. Stay with us for more of This Week in Review coming up in just a moment.
It can happen in mere seconds. It can happen while you're in the house. The thing is, it should never happen. Keep lighters and matches out of sight and out of reach of children. The consequences couldn't be more deadly. A message from Health Canada and this broadcaster.
The government store has been a beehive of activity lately. Innovative Fisheries Development Incorporated has leased the building with hopes of using it as a site to process clams. Innovative Fisheries Development is currently carrying out a resource assessment to determine if there are enough clams in the Big Barrasway, Little Barrasway, and Indian Hole areas to sustain a clam farm in those areas. Charlotte Story, president of Innovative Fisheries Development, was involved in the initial resource assessment conducted in 1994.
Like you know, in 1994, I was here hired by an American company to start a soft shell clam harvest. And at that time, I just thought there could be some potential to develop maybe an aquaculture farm, because clams don't move. I mean, clams are a stationary animal, and after they go through a certain stage in life, they set themselves in the stand and they stay there. So I thought it could be probably a good opportunity to have an aquaculture farm. So I applied for an aquaculture lease for the 3 areas, Big Barrowsway, Little Barrowsway, and Indian Hole. And I received my lease from the government Department of Fisheries. And from then I decided I needed to do a resource assessment of the clam beds to find out what's there, you know, what size the clams were, what was, you know, the babies coming along, what we call the juveniles, how many pre-recruits we have, which are another certain size, and then what were the harvestable ones, which are the 50 millimeters and over. So in 1996, I came to Burgeo, my company, Innovative Fisheries Development, and we started a survey of the 3 areas. So we had 7 people employed last summer for about 2 months, and they worked in the field. What we did last year, we took the 3 areas, Big Barrowsway, Little Barrowsway, and Indian Hole, and we divided up the whole area into 1 hectare square blocks. We went into each one of these areas and we recorded the depths, the substrate, if it was sand, if it was grassy there, if they found any predators. As well, we took a sample. We had almost like a bicycle ring, the size of a bicycle ring, and we put that on the bottom, and we have a pump, a suction pump, and everything within that circle, which was about 21 centimeters, I think, in size, was sucked up into into a mesh bag, and this mesh bag was very tiny, so it would catch everything. And so those samples were brought down to Burgeo, to the government, no, actually it was the Fisherman's Wharf last year, where we had 2 students hired, and they removed the clams from the grass and the mud and cleaned them and then froze them. We then, in September, the survey was over. The company went back, and I went back to St. John's, and I went to the Marine Institute, where they hired a biologist to measure each one of the clams. They had to do the thickness as well as the weight of each clam. We also did some aging to try to see what size clam, how long it took a clam to grow to a certain size. So the study was finished around January of 1997, so it took that long to measure all the clams. And so we then looked at the data that we had collected, and it showed in certain areas of the 3 clam beds where there was high concentrations of clams. So for 1997, we decided to come back and to do another survey, because it's almost like a picture. Like 1996, we went and did a resource assessment. It's like taking a picture. You're getting one snapshot of what you think is there. So the company wanted to come back into Burgeo to get another snapshot to confirm our information. And I mean, a resource assessment is going to take, every year we do work on the farm. We will be collecting new information. We will be getting a different understanding of how that wild population is distributed and how it grows. And based on that information, then the company will be putting together a management plan on, if the area has commercial potential, and how do we harvest that area as well as enhance it. Because the company is hoping that every year we will be able to take a certain amount of clams out of the 3 areas. So that's on the harvest side, but on the enhancement side, we also have to be reseeding clams, and so that's what we're trying to do.
Kelly Conway, a senior field technician working with innovative fisheries development since June, is looking at such things as the food sources, spawning times, and water temperatures. Kelly told us about the importance of monitoring the clam resource. Burgio.
Well, Dave, some of the major community concerns include sustainable annual harvesting. Now, this means sustainable employment and positions on an annual seasonal basis. And these are very legitimate concerns, especially with issues that are grappling today in all fishery sectors. So the monitoring that I'm doing needs to be targeted at in that direction, and if we want to introduce enhancement of the wild populations and make culture techniques available to the producer. We need to justify that we have or are in the process of developing a better understanding of both the reproductive cycle and the patterns within the environment in which they live. Now, the key here is annual production, and so the monitoring will need to be a continuing part of this. Due to the annual variability and even with the seawater and with the natural environment, you have also within each area there are qualities that make them different and set them apart from the others. So with each aquaculture lease, so 3 months is not sufficient, and monitoring is necessary. It will be continual for the long term.
Innovative Fisheries currently has 12 local people employed. 6 of them are working at the government store. Charlotte said she was present at the Marine Institute last year when the clams were analyzed and felt that work could be done here.
So over that period of 4 months, I watched what they were doing, and what they were doing was actually the measurement, the thickness, the width, and the measurement. That can be done here, so I decided that to create employment and to keep jobs, as many jobs to benefit from what we're doing, that the work could be done here in Burgeo. So we have 6 women who are doing the analysis, or the analysis of the clams as they come down, and so it's working out well.
Charlotte said there are a number of problems to be overcome if the commercial potential is there to harvest clam.
In 1994, during the harvest, DFO and Environment Canada, when we harvest, the clams have to be tested by DFO because they're shellfish, to make sure that there's no toxins in them and they're good for human consumption. During that process, they found that the clams, some of the clams contained fecal coliform, and they were not allowed to be sold to the marketplace. They had to go through what they call a depuration or a cleansing process. So they closed the 3 areas, and those 3 areas are still closed. So that's why people are not supposed to eat clams in the area. We have to overcome that problem yet, and we've got a strategy in place. We're going to try to do some natural relaying and see how that works. But let's say all that works, and we're optimistic. We're hoping to process the clams here at the building in Burgeo, and they will be, the live market is the best market for soft shell clams, and that happens the best market is from July to probably September. So that's when the actual processing will be done.
The survey being conducted by Innovative Fisheries Development is scheduled to last until mid to late November. Innovative Fisheries Development hopes that by next spring they'll have a better idea on the future of the clam industry here in Burgeo. As the project completion date draws nearer, work is progressing nicely on the Main T Hill lookout. Work on the Main T Hill lookout is progressing quite nicely. The lookout itself has been completed, and workers are currently working on the pathway leading to the lookout. The lookout itself offers a magnificent view of all around our community. Workers have had several holdups since they began this project, sometimes waiting on materials and other times due to the engineers. During some of their slower times, they constructed the 6 picnic tables for the kiosk area on the turnoff from the Burgeo Road and the Trans-Canada Highway. One of the residents at the Southwest Senior Center celebrated her 87th birthday on Friday of this past week.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Elsie. Happy birthday to you.
Okay, first of all, Miss Skinner, I'd like to wish you a happy 87th birthday. Have you lived in Burgeo all your life?
No.
Where did you live before you came to Burgeo?
Red Island.
Red Island. So you've been living here at the Senior Center since it opened?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you like it here?
Love it.
Yeah? So I guess, what do you like most about living up here?
Oh, it looks everything. I like it's quiet here, and
I see you had a lot of friends around today, so I guess you
we're all friends up here.
made a lot of friends since you moved here, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
So, have you enjoyed living in Burgeo? How long have you been living in Burgeo?
I don't know that. I come up here when I was 13, 14 years old, and now I'm 87 today.
Okay, so you've been here for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, have you enjoyed living in Burgeo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, once again, we'd like to wish you a happy birthday and many more.
Thank you.
Provincial court was held in Burgeo a few weeks back. Constable McDougall is with us now with the court report.
Good evening. Provincial court was held again in Burgeo on September 17th. A total of 26 people were scheduled to appear to face charges, 16 adults and 10 youths. A 15-year-old male from Lunenburg, Nova Scotia was charged with possession of a narcotic. He did not appear and a warrant was issued for jurisdictional purposes. The charge is going to be waived in Nova Scotia for a guilty plea. A 16-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to one charge of theft under in relation to a camp stove stolen from sandbanks during the Sand and Sea Festival and a breach of probation. And the same individual pled not guilty to a charge of possession of a narcotic and an associated breach of probation. Both matters were set over to December the 3rd, one for trial and the other for sentencing on the guilty pleas. A 74-year-old male from Burgeo appeared to face 14 counts of sexual assault and indecent assault. The matter was set over to December the 3rd for that person to enter a plea. A 15-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to one count of break, enter, and theft and a breach of probation. He was fined $100 in total and put on probation for 1 year. A 17-year-old male pled guilty to one count of break and enter and theft and a breach of probation. No breach of probation. And he was sentenced to probation for 1 year and ordered to write a letter of apology to the store owner. A 14-year-old male pled guilty to one count of break, enter, and theft and to a breach of probation and pled guilty to a further breach of probation, and that matter was set over to December the 3rd for sentencing. A 17-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to one count of resisting arrest, one breach of probation, a possession of narcotics, and a further breach of probation. That matter will be set over to December the 3rd for sentencing. On that date, that same person will enter a plea to a further charge of possession of a narcotic and a breach of probation. A 30-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to one count of fraud under $5,000. He was given a conditional discharge, put on probation for 18 months, and ordered to pay the court a $35 victim surcharge fine. An 18-year-old male from Galtus pled guilty to one count of resisting arrest and one count of causing a disturbance. He was fined in total $150. A 19-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to possession of a narcotic, and he was fined $200 and placed on probation for a period of 6 months. 4 other males, aged 16 and 17, pled not guilty to a possession of narcotic in relation to the same matter, and that was set over for trial on December the 3rd, the next court date. A 25-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to a possession of narcotic charge. He was fined a total of $330 and placed on probation for 1 year. A 58-year-old male from Ramia, originally and now living in Toronto, pled guilty to 1 count of possession of contraband tobacco under the Tobacco Tax Act. He was fined $500 in relation to that charge, and also pled guilty to 1 count of possession of narcotic, and on that charge he was sentenced to 14 days in jail. A 19-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to 1 count of damage to property and 1 count of breach of probation. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail on both charges to run concurrent. A 18-year-old male from Burgeo was scheduled to appear charged with uttering threats and a breach of probation. That subject failed to appear in court and a warrant was issued for his arrest. A 14-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to 1 count of breach of probation, and that was set over to December the 3rd for sentencing. A 49-year-old male from Ramia pled guilty to 1 count of an assault, and he was sentenced to 30 days in jail. The same male pled not guilty to 1 count of breach of an undertaking, and that was set over to December the 3rd for trial. A 33-year-old female and a 27-year-old female, both from Burgeo, were charged with theft under $5,000, theft over $5,000, excuse me. They both pleaded not guilty, and that matter was set over to Supreme Court in Corner Brook, set for a plea in November. A 46-year-old male from Burgeo pled not guilty to 1 count of theft under $5,000, and that matter was set over for trial in December. A 46-year-old male from Burgeo pled guilty to a charge under the municipal dog regulations for having his dog roaming, and he was fined $25. And 3 males from Grey River, all 19 years of age, were pled guilty to a charge under the Child Welfare Act for supplying liquor to a child under 16 years old. All 3 of those males were sentenced to 14 days in jail. That concludes all the persons that appeared in court in Burgeo on the 17th of September. Court will be held again in Burgeo on December the 3rd. Thank you.
Stay with us for Off the Rack, community events, and the BBS Playbill. All that after this.
Each year in Canada, hundreds of fires are started by young children playing with lighters and matches. Teach your children that lighters and matches are not toys. And keep lighters and matches out of sight and out of reach of children. The consequences couldn't be more deadly. A message from Health Canada and this broadcaster.
Off the Rack. This week as we scanned our tape racks, we came across a video of an earlier Fire Prevention Week. Here's a look back now to October 14th, 1990.
On Tuesday, Fire Brigade had fire drills at the hospital and both schools. Everything seemed to run very well at the hospital as well as at the schools. The students at the schools seemed to get out of the buildings quickly and in an orderly fashion. Once outside, the teachers called the register to make sure everyone was accounted for. The firemen checked to see that the buildings were evacuated, all windows and classroom doors were closed, and that all exits were easily accessible and well maintained. Fireman Glenn Han and Fireman Harvey Billard visited several classes at the elementary school to show them the fire gear.
The uniform that I'm wearing now is what they call a fireman dress uniform. That's what we wear like when we go around and talk to the little boys and girls like we're doing now, right? This uniform here is what we use when we go to a actual fire, okay? By the way, my name is Fireman Glenn Han. That's Fireman Harvey Biller. That's Julia's Day. My Ross's Day. Okay? Now this is the uniform that we wear when we go out on a drill or on a fire. We can get a fire any time of day or any time of night. When our fire phone rings, we gotta go. Okay? This is our fireman jacket that we wear. Okay? It's like a cloth lining that's not supposed to burn. It also helps to keep us dry and keep us warm.
Good evening and welcome to the community event segment of tonight's broadcast. I'm Rhonda Green. The Burgeo RCMP detachment wishes to advise area residents that the shoplifting seminar will be held on October the 14th at the Far Hall beginning at 7 p.m. All business and their employers are encouraged to attend at no cost. The Anglican Church Vestry will be having their annual Thanksgiving sale on Monday, October 13th in the parish hall beginning at 1:30 p.m. During the sale, tickets will be sold on a grocery box. Please come along and give thanks to God for what He has given you. If your group or organization has an upcoming event planned, we will be happy to advertise it for you. You can contact the BBS office by Wednesday of each week to have items included in the portion of our broadcast. That concludes the community event segment of tonight's program. See you next week.
BBS Playbill. Join us on Monday at 7 p.m. for Religious Revelations. This month's service comes to us from Faith United Church. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a rebroadcast of Pansy's Garden. Tune in on Wednesday at 7 p.m. for a video of rock climbing in Franceway. At 7 p.m. on Thursday, we will have the Pink Boys 3 from our friends at Ramia Broadcasting. For stories, a craft, and lots of fun, join the gang from Pansy's Garden, Saturday morning, 11 a.m. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. Next week's program will be followed by assorted entertainment from the Sand and Sea Festival. Please stay tuned now for the Pink Boys 3. For This Week in Review, I'm Dave Cooper. Good night.